Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me for another making of video. This time we are talking about a very famous romanza from La Zarzuela La Dolorosa. This zarzuela is not that well known as it is the case of this piece, and there are a good number of things that I would like to share with you. Well, before we start going through the lyrics and the music itself. And also, as you know, I like to share with you how is it that I learned of a certain piece of music and why is it who was the interpreter that I heard it first from, and the reason why I decided to choose it. And I have to say that the case for La Roca Fria del Calvario, which is the name of the romanza that we are talking about today, is one of the very first romanzas that I heard, that I learned from. And also, I have to say that whenever one thinks of, or whenever I think of this romanza, the first name that comes to my mind is Plácido Domingo. We have already talked in the past about Plácido Domingo's role and, moreover, his family, Miss Pepita and Bill, and his father, Mr. Plácido Domingo, who in fact are in a are very are key players for the development of zarzuela in Mexico. Because more than one time one can think, why is it that if we are celebrating Mexico, why are we bringing zarzuela so often? I have mentioned in previous videos that it is mainly because zarzuela means a lot to Mexican opera singers. Also, the development of culture in our country has to do with the zarzuela and with the presence of the parents of Placido Domingo and Placido Domingo himself singing zarzuela all over the world. There is a strong connection between this gender and my country. And that's why I was sharing with you that, in fact, whenever I think of this romance, I think of Placido Domingo. And and let me share it with you on the screen. I have several CDs, which I know not many people have anymore, and I do have. What I don't have now is how to play it. I do not have a CD player by now, so this is more like a relic. So, and this is the CD that I purchased sometime in the past. This is a concert from Placido Domingo and Pilar Lorengar. If you're aware of this Spanish soprano, Pilar Lorengar, she's also a great singer. This is a concert that was live at Salzburg Festival, and all the program was zarzuela pieces. So this is an extraordinary CD because one wouldn't think that in the Salzburg Festival one would be playing a whole concert around zarzuela. And in there, of course, you won't be able to see it. It's over there. The one of the pieces that is in here is La Roca Fria del Calvario. Also, for working on it, I would like to share with you that, in fact, I had, you may recall that I have my zarzuela books this time, or the very first time. I think I'm sharing with you the zarzuela pieces, the zarzuela romanzas for tenor. It's in here, if I remember well, it's again page 60 something. For some reason I keep, oh no, yeah, 66 again. Actually, the score that I used starts on page 66. Of course, we are not using it again for presenting the lyrics because we have had not very good experiences doing that. But my anecdotes around this piece I was telling you are mainly for Plácido Domingo, but we also have to mention that there are a good number of singers who like to give it to take it to sing it in their concerts. However, I must mention that this is a very hard piece to sing. This is not just for any young tenor to sing just because he feels like that. It requires a certain type of voice, a very good legato, very good use of high notes and intention. So it is a very complicated song to prepare. And despite that fact, I recall at least there are two memories that I have very fresh in my mind. One of them, and let me share it with you on the screen. Well, this is the second, but the first that I wanted to share with you. This is what we call in Mexico one of the public institutions. For technical engineering is the Instituto Politécnico Nacional, and they have in their central offices a big auditorium, which is called with lots of love by the Polytechnicos, the students who study there. They call it the cheese, el queso in Spanish, because yeah, the design looks like a slice of cheese, so nobody knows it by its name, because of course this auditorium has a name, and if I give it to you, nobody will know what you're talking about. But if you tell them that you are attending El Queso, they will certainly know what you are talking about. So and in one of the smaller auditoriums in this cultural center, I recall having attended a concert by a tenor who, by the way, I recall that he had a hippie look, hippie, like a hippie. He was a hippie guy, and it was very weird because you know that whenever you talk or you think of an opera singer or a tenor, you always like to, or you always think of dressing in gala costume, always very serious and all of that paraphernalia that is around the singers. But I recall that this guy was so very cool. I'm pretty sure that he was a graduate from the Escuela Nacional de Música because of his personality and the way he dressed and the way he approached the public. And I recall him singing this romanza in that concert, and that he did it astonishingly. Because by those days I had already tried myself singing it, and I had run into enough troubles, enough to see that if he could manage it, that the whole piece that way, is because he really mastered his voice. So I recall that anecdote from El Queso, a good number of years already. I believe that must be around 20 years already. But later on, I also had the chance of attending a concert, of which you can find the evidence here. If you go to the playlist called Conciertos en el Palacio del Arzobispado, you will find one of them that is called Antología de la Zarzuela en el Palacio del Arzobispado, which is very nice because this is a group of young singers, and this group of young singers sing a zarzuela, and a very young tenor sings it. I would like to start playing it. Remember that since YouTube runs a copyright routine, it may well happen that part of the audio of this conversation that I'm having with you today may be deleted or may be muted by YouTube if they find that it is a terrible copyright violation. So with that in mind, I'm going to play it in the background because I would like to share with you. I have not shared with you in the past how is it that the realize that it is a very nice place. Uh, Maybe one day we should talk about the history of this place, but that is under the custody of one of the federal offices in Mexico. And Saturday news, they used to have these concerts, and so we are about to hear to this very young tenor. I believe he must be in his early 20s, and he has, of course, voice that needs to match with the age. But I really liked that he went for this aria and he put all his efforts in it. I'm going to put my headphones on so that I can also hear to what you're actually listening to, and I'm going to shut up so that you can listen to it. Of course, for a tenor this young, it is a major challenge, and I think that he did it great, given that he is very young and he just went for it. But another thing that I would like you to take into account is that this is the first his first appearance on stage. So from the very first melody, he goes for the hardest, and that's one what people we usually do when we are young, right? And I really appreciate it. In fact, I recall that the whole program of this concert was very good. The pianist and the director of this group of singers did an excellent job in selecting the pieces, and all of them were young singers. So if you have the time to go and listen to it in full, almost or a little over an hour, I'm pretty sure that you will appreciate that. Okay, but now it is time for us to go for the words and give a couple more comments around this piece. And of course, what we need to talk about when we talk about La Dolorosa and going back to this relationship that we have in Mexico with the religion, you may be well aware that Spain, where the zarzuela was born, is mainly Catholic. Mexico is mainly Catholic, and La Dolorosa, La Roca Fria del Calvario, the cold rock of the Calvary, makes reference to a chapter where the Virgin Mother, Maria, goes to see where his son was crucified. This is, and I have to clarify one thing. I am not a religious person, so from a religious perspective, I have no further identification with the topic, and maybe it is the same case for you. But I find, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, because I think it's a very lovely piece from the music point of view. But I find the words and that the whole composition is somehow cruel and dark. What it is described here is, and I know that the passage of the crucifixion, for those who are believers, it is one of the most meaningful ones. But I find the words here or the music put in a way that if you pay attention to the words, one cannot help being moved by the scene that is being pictured. I think that words and scenes like this are hardly pictured ever in the music. And this is the case for Maestro Serrano and La Roca Fria del Calvario. We are going to play it, do some translations and notes along the way. So I have already mentioned that La Roca Fria del Calvario means the cold rock of the Calvary, where the crucifixion actually had place. Then, se oculta una negra nube. So this rock of the Calvary is being hidden or is being covered by a dark cloud. As I was telling you, it's already there are words and everything that pictures the scene. The scene tends to be very obscure itself, and for a solitary, what we call in Spanish a sendero, this small way in the path. This is a solitary path. The Virgin Mother is climbing. She's walking, and in her brown face, a flower of lily. She's a flower of lily that has lost all its color, because in her chest, that has been hurt in her own chest. Those nails, you remember that Jesus was in fact in the crucifixion with nails, terrible, horrible scene. So this is what this phrase makes reference to, that in her breast, now hurt, also having nailed, but now not nails themselves, but thorns of pain. So if you picture the image there in the distance, you can see the rock, the cold rock of the Calvary, now being covered by a dark cloud, and you see from one corner the Mother Virgin climbing to see her son. And as she's climbing, her chest is suffering, and she's suffering because she feels now the thorns of pain in her chest. already very difficult to describe. Also moves ahead saying su cuerpo vacilante, which means she's not very firm. She's already, it happens to us when you don't feel that strength. That's how she's hardly climbing to the rock, and her body is also being bent by the sorrow. And I think you can picture that, right? We have already talked about about her climbing with the sorrow in her chest, and now the suffering herself is making her body bent. But even though she feels like that, she keeps moving because she walks and her cold lips are kissing the ground where a flower is born in each of the drops of blood that now have come out of the body of Jesus the Savior. Uh, this is a small passage that gives some, say, hope, because now you talk about hope. Now you see flowers coming up out of the place where Jesus' blood drops fell, so it looks like a good sign of hope. Now she's a pillar in shadow. She's also an emblem of how has become light. She walks, she's light because she knows that her son is waiting for her, but is waiting for her because he's already dead on the cross. Um, then there comes a small musical pause, and let's play the music from there so that we divide it accordingly, because the whole piece is mainly divided into two main passages. La roca fría del Calvario se oculta en negra nube por un sendero solitario. La Virgen Madre sube, camina y es su cara morena, flor de azucena que ha perdido el color, en su pecho lacerado se han clavado las espinas del dolor. Su cuerpo vacilante se dobla al peso de la pena, pero sigue adelante, camina y sus labios de hielo besan al suelo donde brota una flor en cada gota de sangre derramada por Jesús el Redentor, sombra peregrina, emblema del dolor hecho luz. Camina, camina, ligera, que el Hijo la espera, muerto en la cruz. And now, as I was telling you, it is basically divided into two pieces. There is the second part, where you say: desde una loma del sendero, la Virgen caminante ve la silueta del madero. Remember that she's climbing to reach this dark rock of the Calvary. So from a distant hill, you can see that the Virgin is walking, and from there she can see the silhouette of the wooden cross where her son is dying. As I was telling you, the description of the whole scene is very obscure. Again, I would like to insist that I understand this is how the Bible and the whole chapter of the crucifixion took place, but still, these words in a song are tend to feel very hard. Again, and I want to insist this is the content of the lyrics of the romanza, while the music is amazingly beautiful. So we have to divide our or to take into account one thing is the religious belief that each person has. On the other hand, there is the specific words that are into the music and the extraordinary music that Maestro Jose Serrano wrote for this piece. So he sees how his son is dying, and she cries because she has this silent torment, or she quiets this torment with a sigh that she can hardly beat. You know, of course, she's suffering as she sees in the distance her son dying, and now this is a yell that is desgarrado. I'm not sure how that word is translated into English, but it sounds, you know, that when you yell from the very bottom of your heart, that's what it means. Es el grito desgarrado that has been taken from her body of human, because even though we are referring to her as a virgin, we all recall also that according to the Bible and these beliefs, she is still a human. That's what in part what makes part of the miracle, that Jesus, the Son of God, is born from a human mother. So she's a divine star over the mark that has left the human pain. She's still walking, sad, so sad. She's crying. La Madre Dolorosa del Redentor. This is what gives the name to the zarzuela. La Dolorosa refers to the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary, full in sorrow for her son. Let's listen to this final piece. La Virgen caminante ve la silueta del madero y al hijo agonizante y llora su callado tormento con un lamento que no puede vencer. Es el grito desgarrado, arrancado a su carne de mujer. Divina estrella sobre la huella del humano dolor. Triste camina, llorosa, la Madre dolorosa del Redentor. And this is how we have talked about today one of the most beautiful pieces that have been composed for the zarzuela repertory, and have gone through the lyrics that are very hard to sing once we understand the meaning that is carried by this extraordinary composition by Maestro Serrano. I hope you enjoyed today's videos, and hope to see you some other time soon. Thank you very much, and bye bye.